Alright guys, it seems a lot of you are really liking the upcoming games compilation videos, especially right now since 2021 is coming up and there are a ton of projects to get excited for. I've recently done open world RPGs, FPSs, newly announced games and such, but now we're getting into the ones that you might definitely not know about, and they can definitely interest you. Before we start, as always, drop a like on this video to give some support and let's get started. First off, we have a game that even though looks really cool and graphically amazing, doesn't have near the attention it deserves, and it's a bit sad to see that. Returnal is a game that was announced during one of PlayStation's State of Play events, and unfortunately its first trailer didn't really do justice, but its second though gave everything we needed, and I love what I'm seeing. Returnal is an upcoming third-person action shooter where you have to break the cycle of an ever-changing alien planet. After crash landing on this shape-shifting world, Celine, the main character, must search through the barren landscape of an ancient civilization for her escape. Isolated and alone, she finds herself fighting tooth and nail for survival. Again and again she is defeated, forced to restart her journey every time she dies. Through relentless roguelike gameplay, you'll discover that just as the planet changes with every cycle, so do the items at your disposal. Every loop offers new combinations, forcing you to push your boundaries and approach combat with a different strategy each time. Brought to life by stunning visual effects, the dark beauty of this decaying world around you is packed with explosive surprises. From high-stakes, bullet-hell fueled combat to visceral twists and turns through stark and contrasting environments. You'll explore, discover, and fight your way through an unforgiving journey where mystery stalks your every move. It is designed for extreme replayability. The procedural world of Returnal invites you to dust yourself off in the face of defeat and take on new, evolving challenges with every rebirth. Really excited to see more of this. Next up, we have Chivalry 2, a game that I'm eagerly waiting for and that looks to bring a truly fun medieval experience. I've been a huge fan of the first game and also met the developers at E3 last year for this upcoming game, and I can tell you they are very passionate about this project. They want Chivalry 2 to be the most fun you've had in a medieval game, with a ton of unique gameplay elements like becoming the king and protect your castle from the enemy team, throwing a player's head at other players, full-on 64 players castle siege, and much more. Chivalry 2 is a multiplayer first-person slasher inspired by epic medieval movie battles. Players are thrust into the action of every iconic moment of the era, from the thunder of cavalry charges to storms of flaming arrows, also sprawling castle siege and more. Catapults tear the earth apart as players lay siege to castles, set fire to villages, and slaughter filthy peasants in the return of grand team objective maps. Ride to war on horseback and claim glory by your blade. Are you a heroic warrior or a blood-soaked murderer? Keep fighting and gurgling out battle cries even when wounded, bleeding out and missing limbs. The enhanced player expression brings thousands of hilarious new voice lines and deep character customization. It's also going to be filled with gameplay opportunities to create funny moments or just to open new paths to create new wars. I'm really hyped for this game. Next up, we have Everwild. This game has been revealed a year ago and since then had two absolutely beautiful trailers that shows an open world filled with stunning locations and magical creatures. Its developers, called Rare, have been dedicated to this project for years and want it to be one of the most beautiful games out there, and as we can see, it is looking very unique. Given the great British studio's prior work on Nintendo classics like GoldenEye 007 and Perfect Dark, as well as more modern releases like Sea of Thieves, a lot of eyes are on Everwild right now and they really want to see more. Taking the two trailers and the placements of footage into account, this game could definitely be something similar to Sea of Thieves in terms of being an MMO in a fantasy world. This is definitely a multiplayer game where you can tame different creatures that will all bring something different to your team, but I feel like Rare is still hiding what hides in the darkness of Everwild. There is something affecting Everwild's world, but we still don't know what it is. Though we do know the player characters in Everwild are called Eternals, and they can truly connect with some of the animals in the wild. The creatures you connect with range from normal to slightly unusual to extremely unique. We still haven't seen any true gameplay or combat, but when we do, I will be covering it. Next up we have Myth of Empires. Taking place in the 3rd century on the eastern continent, Myth of Empires present a cruel and brutal era ravaged by the chaos of war. You will need to fight off hunger and brave the elements if you hope to survive. Explore an immersive and expansive world in which you'll collect resources and utilize your creativity and imagination to build your very own empire. Recruit NPCs through peaceful or violent means and turn them into your own followers. Have them collect resources and craft them into materials for you or use them as your own personal army. Myth of Empires features a robust combat system. You also need to cultivate and utilize a deep understanding of the game's different soldier roles, weapons, and siege engines, as well as cooperate with other players in the world in order to claim victory on massive battlefields with the weapons you created yourself. Seek out skilled assistance and work with other players to defeat common enemies and capture their counties and regions. Building and expanding a powerful empire will test your strategic and leadership capabilities. In addition to all the different combat roles a character can take on, there is also a variety of different professions and activities to develop, including planting, forging, cooking, livestock farming, and hunting. Players must work together to provide the resources a growing empire needs. You can also fill your stables with horses for your armies to ride into battle later on. Breed faster and more powerful horses and build an unstoppable cavalry force in the end. Cannot wait to see more of this again. Next up we have the Callisto Protocol, the true spiritual successor to the famous horror game Dead Space, from the creators of Dead Space themselves. The game is targeted for launch on the PC and consoles in 2022, and it is absolutely really surprisingly set in the future of the PlayerUnknown's Battleground universe, which is that famous Battle Royale game. But the Callisto's Protocol trailer feels like a spiritual successor to Dead Space with some alien stuff thrown in it. Set on Jupiter's dead moon Callisto, the storytelling, horror, and action game will challenge players to escape the maximum security Black Iron prison and uncover its terrifying secrets. It's a very ambitious game and one that has been built almost entirely remotely so far during the pandemic. The creators of this game are aiming very high with this project, saying they want this to be the scariest game ever created, thanks to the help of the next generation allowing better technology. That's pretty ambitious and we'll have to see for that. Next up we have Stray, a truly unique game. Lost, alone, and separated from family, a stray cat must untangle an ancient mystery to escape a long-forgotten city. Stray is a third-person cat adventure game set amidst the detailed neon-lit alleys of a decaying cyber city and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly. Roam surroundings high and low, defend against unforeseen threats, and solve the mysteries of this unwelcoming place, inhabited by nothing but unassuming droids and dangerous creatures. See the world through the eyes of a stray and interact with the environment in playful ways. Be stealthy, nimble, silly, and sometimes as annoying as possible with the strange inhabitants of this foreign world. Along the way, the cat befriends a small flying drone known only as B12. With the help of this newfound companion, the duo try to find a way out. Stray is developed by Blue 12 Studio, a small team from south of France, mostly made of cats and a handful of humans. Next up we have Unknown 9 Awakening. Unknown 9 Awakening introduces Aruna, a young girl living on the streets of Kolkata in India. Aruna is haunted by visions of her own death and has the ability to manipulate the unseen. These talents are nurtured by a mentor who teaches her to access a hidden dimension called the Fold. She soon undertakes a journey to discover the Fold's many secrets. The developer described this as a truly passion project being undertaken by a small team of industry veterans that want to do things differently. The game features a complex heroine that must come to terms with who she is. The game is set in the Unknown 9 universe, a modern story world that centers on humanity being on the edge of either transcendence or self-destruction. The world of Unknown 9 appears to be based on Earth, but with strong science fiction and occult elements. For now it is a very mysterious game, but I'm still interested. Next up we have Smallland, an upcoming open-world survival game where you're the size of ants. Nope, this is not Grounded, and Smallland was even announced before Grounded itself. This game, as opposed to Grounded, is more centered on survival and meeting other players roaming the open world than for, say, the story with Grounded. Smallland is all about discovering and meeting new people, with tons of different predators ready to get you, and even seasons. You'll craft yourself a home, explore uncharted areas, learn more about the ecosystem around you, and ultimately just try to survive. You can build, craft, research, upgrade, fortify, and fight to survive in a living, breathing multiplayer open world game. Team up with other players in PvE, including cooperative events that threaten the balance of Smallland, as well as take part in PvP-focused gameplay in the open world. Customize and style your armor, weapons, and tools. Prepare and manage your loadouts and abilities. There's also dynamic day, night, and seasons, which affect resources, creatures, and your rate of survival. Ally yourself with the creatures of Smallland, where you can literally tame them, and finally, gain special resources for crafting, as well as access to allies and mounts. Next up, we have Project Eve. Project Eve is in development for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and maybe PC. Along with the new screenshots, Shift Up, its developers, also released a boss battle video that includes real-time battle graphics. It shows a type of Ghost of Tsushima-esque fighting style with a dash of more fantasy hack and slash. This, alongside its next-gen graphics, makes the game potentially worth keeping an eye on. The studio founder describes this project as a console-based multi-platform action game aiming for high graphic quality and extreme action in the press release. With the company's focus on consoles, time will tell whether it also gets a release for PC. So far, what has been revealed is that the main character is a woman named Eve, who is battling natives, evil monsters that plague the post-apocalyptic city in which she lives. The combat and graphics are looking stunning. Next up, we have Kena Bridge of Spirits, a beautiful combat adventure game. Immerse yourself in a story-driven action adventure set in a charming world rich with exploration and fast-paced combat. Play as Kena, a young spirit guide traveling to an abandoned village in search of the sacred mountain shrine. Find and grow a team of tiny spirits known as the Rot, who maintain balance by decomposing dead and rotting elements. Enhance your companion's abilities, create new ways to manipulate the environment, and uncover the secrets of a forgotten community hidden in an overgrown forest where wandering spirits are trapped. Next up, we have Pragmata. Set in a dystopian near future on Earth's moon, Pragmata will take you on an unforgettable adventure powered by the next generation of gaming, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. The development team at Capcom is hard at work on this brand new game title, making full use of new next-gen tech such as ray tracing to create a breathtaking and immersive sci-fi setting like never before. Starting out in a seemingly emptied-out world, an astronaut returns to find a little girl and a holographic cat. That's when everything takes a bit of a turn in the weirdest ways possible, as it's all revealed to be a simulation set in space, and the astronaut itself is blasted into space. I think everyone can sense a bit of Death Stranding inspiration from this trailer alone, and I can bet on this game being a little bit weird, but that is all the information we have for now on this. Next up, we have Babylon's Fall, another game we don't know a lot of details for, except a trailer here and there with gameplay. The gameplay looks really great and showed a knight fighting several much larger knights with floating oversized swords. Platinum Games, the developers, are known for their action blockbuster games, and this release looks to be no different. With fluid and awesome swordplay, Babylon's Fall looks to provide medieval fantasy action at its best. Next up, we have Midnight Fight Express. Fight your way across the city in a brutal romp that mixes old-school brawlers and fast-paced motion-captured combat. Battle across multiple, distinct and crafted levels, on foot or on a variety of vehicles. Use various weapons, the environment, and more to wade through piles of enemies on your way to victory. The game is said to be accessible but very difficult to master. Start punching in moments, but you need to master your combat skills to conquer seemingly impossible challenges. Become the ultimate brawler, fight, win, level up, unlock cosmetics, new moves, and weapons to aid you in your triumph. I'm absolutely loving the action in this project, and all of this is being made by one person only. Finally, we have Avowed, a new open-world RPG by the creators of The Outer Worlds and Fallout New Vegas, and is definitely meant to take on The Elder Scrolls 6. Avowed is a big first-person RPG set in the same world as Pillars of Eternity. The job listing for Avowed mentioned combat with emphasis on an exceptional first-person melee experience, and combat actions utilizing both first and third-person animations, alongside references to day and night cycles, and branching dialogue. What's coming next is only rumors, but it is said that Avowed will be fully open world and much larger than Skyrim, but not necessarily in total size. The world will be denser and more contrasted, which presumably means diverse. The main setting will be the Living Lands region of Aurora, which is a northern frontier not seen directly in either Pillars of Eternity games. There will be a big focus on world reactivity, lightning, and next-gen AI systems. It's also said to have a real-time weather systems. The character creation is supposed to be very advanced and detailed. The mod support is planned, and the world will have lots of factions, but they won't be similar to Skyrim factions. The game also includes 2 massive cities, as said by the rumor. If this turns out true, then count me in to be excited for Avowed. Alright guys, that is all for today's video. Make sure you guys drop a like for more videos like this, and of course you subscribe to stay tuned. Thanks to Space Beer Gaming, Rush Shingbati, I Am Legend, Diamond Hunter 45, Themistocles, Rickno23, and Kianzo Fagari for being a master member on the channel. You can become a survivor member for as low as 99 cents a month. It'll help me and the channel as a whole to make more and better videos.